Today marks 383rd day, share lessons on learn and continue to learn with you. I hope these insights will inspire you, support your dreams, help you, but ultimately empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about how to speak up early. Why to speak up early? I think it's such an amazing topic. Such an amazing topic because understanding when to speak up, and especially early stage of a problem, early stage of situation, I think there's so much more power. You will become more reliable, will become more accountable for yourself, more dependable. You will be able to trust. You'll be able to improve faster. Because if you do not speak up early, things get delayed. And I think that in this moment, one beautiful saying that I really, really love is the longer you wait, the longer you wait. What it means is that the longer you wait to really speak up, the longer you wait to really live a life after speaking up. That means being able to really focus on short-term displeasure, short-term discomfort, to really to live comfortable in the future. Because you're able to choose right now, comfortable comfort, but pay later, but you pay 10 poles, or you can really pay right now, and then in the future will be tenfold. So today I'll focus why is important and how to focus on speaking up early in every aspect of our lives, because every aspect of life deserves speak up early. Even about our own health. We need to speak up for ourselves. That we need to do something about it. If we do not speak up for ourselves, no one will stand for us. Sometimes we need to stand for ourselves. So first one that I will share seven things that about speaking up early. So first one that I want to really focus on is psychological mechanics. And what is that? That sometimes when we really think about the same thing, like we want to speak up and something happens, some kind of problem, and other people included, and we always rethink the same thing before we're sharing, we start to exaggerate things. Because what you focus expands. So if you're focusing on a small thing, and when you really think about it, think about it, and because you thought so much, it becomes bigger and bigger, and of course, that distorts actually how big the problem is. It might be that it's a very small problem, but because you're thinking constantly, that small problem becomes big, and of course, you're not able to deliver the right message. And after that, when we think about really thinking, it might be that there will be emotional residue. So resentment could be built. That means if someone did something that you didn't like, but it's quite small, and allow that small thing continue, maybe second time, third time, fourth time, it builds an emotional residue, and that means that small things really compounds, and it does if we're not able to really live properly because we're still thinking about it, and that's of course creates emotional disbalance in our life. So speaking up early doesn't allow to build up emotionally. And of course, the last thing that I want to mention is that perceived risk inflation. So that means that early speaking up allows to really keep that temperature low. Because I think that we need to understand that is that like emotions, it's that the longer we keep that small thing, the more dramatic it sounds. It sounds for us, it sounds for other people, and people a lot of times feel not understand where that came from because they never thought that it's a big deal. Because if you speak up early, they know that it's a big deal. But if you speak up late after a person have done so many times, so that means that inflation grows of not sharing that thing. So that means the more you delay, the more you will need to deal with that inflation of sharing that the same thing. Because sometimes when you really want to share something, but you didn't share, and the other person is doing second time, a third time, and now you don't want to share it anymore because you allow the same behavior for so many times. So that means that it's will be harder to really fix that because they used to do the same thing over and over again. So number two is window of openness. That's exactly what I was already started to share. Is the window of openness is early. If someone did something and you didn't acknowledge it, and didn't made them aware this is not something that you want to see in your life. That is one maybe that's non-negotiable. Because if you don't set boundaries early on and speak up about those boundaries and communicate clear those boundaries and sometimes maybe cross your boundaries without being aware of your boundaries. So that is uh, on to you, on to us, people who don't share. And I'm guilty of this. I didn't share my boundaries. Sometimes I think that being aware of your own boundaries, understanding what you like, what you don't like. So that means we need to invest time in ourselves to speak up early, because if we know that someone did something and we do not like, but we do not express early, after that will be very, very hard to really change that, because that window of openness is early stage. The more they have comfortable, the more they learn, the more they do the same thing, the harder it is for them to change. So the window of openness is something. Because if you allow someone to do the same thing for a couple of years, and now after a while you start to have build self-worth, and for them it might be much more difficult to be open to change. And number three, and I think that's again, this intertwined a little bit with second, is momentum works both ways. Momentum works both ways. So that means that if allow someone to do something that they otherwise not build momentum, because when they did something at the beginning and they did it again and again and again, they build momentum of doing this way. So now when you come up after a long, long time and say this is not what I prefer, now you say that I already built momentum. I already was doing that for a long time. I were already doing that for a long, long time. How do you want me to change when I really build momentum that works in my favor, and now if I will change that, we'll need to relearn. It might be that I'm very good at it, the way how I'm doing right now, and the things that you share with me, it requires me to change, and people don't want to change. So don't put the person in that position that they will need to change. And if we speak up early, we don't put that person in that position that they already built momentum and now you want to destroy their momentum. Because when people are in momentum, they want to keep that momentum. And speaking up early before they build momentum is so essential. And of course, speaking up early is again another momentum. Another momentum is that everything what happens to you, you share immediately. And I think that that's beautiful momentum to build, because people know that if something is going on, they will know right away. That builds massive trust. So momentum of share openness, to share openly. I think that's a very, very beautiful thing. When everyone in the team, everyone in your station shares immediately, whenever it starts, we're able to share and build that momentum. Number four is the compounding cost of delay. The compounding of cost of delay. That means that early speaking, quick course connection, while late speaking, a larger fix. Again, this is part of momentum. But everything what I share is very, very intertwined. So late, the compounding cost of delay. The more you delay, the harder it will be to change. And the small things is interesting, because people who has a massive patience a lot of times wait until all cup full of negativity or resentment until they explode. I'm not supposed to really stay there. I think it's very, very important to understand that resentment is a terrible thing. And if we start to feel just an inch of resentment, that means you need to change. You need to say like something needs to change. Something needs to change. That means that we need to be open and share early, because early speaking is quick corrections. Late speaking is a larger fixes. And it might be that, and it's a higher emotional toll. It might be that if you do not speak early, it might be that it will be relations will be destroyed. Because it's hard to change when people build some routines in place. So, but if we early speak, we build that momentum of early speaking. I think that's it's even the things that potentially could be non-negotiables could be discussed and find a way, find a solution. Number five is identity level impact. I think that when you really share early whatever topic in your life, what it shows that you are a participant in your life, not a bystander, not a spectator. You are the person who stands up for yourself, other people. You speak up early. That shows identity. That shows character. That shows that you really care to stand up for yourself. When you do not know yourself, you don't know your values, you don't know your aspirations, you don't know your purpose. I think that when you do not know those kind of things, I think that at that moment we allow disrespect, we allow other people to influence our dreams, influence our goals. When we do not have direction in our lives on our own, at that moment, probably we don't speak up early. We wait, we really look for more time. So identity level impact is massive, because people who really build strong identity, they don't wait long. They immediately stand up and share early. Number six is the real reason most people don't speak up early. The real reason. And I think that's the main reason is that I need to more certainty before anything. So I think that sometimes we just really want certainty from dialogue. And I think sometimes that's the worst thing to do, because sometimes I think that the best thing that is that you speak with the other person and share that I don't have certainty. Could you help me out to understand what's going on? So being able to open that you do not know, maybe you're missing something, and you get able to like, it might be that I don't understand something. Could you help me to understand and share what you are learning? And maybe other person said, yeah, that's exactly what you get. This is exactly what's going on. So I will be able to fix it. Or maybe say, no, that's not exactly how it works. So this is what is going on. And then after a while, maybe the things that bother you, but now when you understand the full picture of the situation, so like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. It's great what you do, because now you see the other side of the picture. So one time, I think that is beautiful because they share that the other person has an opportunity to express themselves, and they, by expressing that, could understand that this is not right in your perspective. Because when you share it out loud, they become more aware what's going on. And I think that just by speaking out loud, other person could understand what they're doing wrong. Because I think that it's a beautiful thing when you're really asking to really get clarifications, and why they explain it to you and get a clarification to you, they realize the things that they did wrong. That's the beautiful thing. So you didn't blame them, you didn't argue with them, you just really want to learn and express that there is some curiosity, that some parts that you do understand. It's probably one of the best ways to correct people's behaviors is when you really ask and understand. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But when you're trying to understand, they will want to be, they will give you a option to be understood as well. And number seven, the last thing that I want to mention is that number seven is a long-term ripple effect. I think that's if we really speak up early, we really normalize transparency, really show that this is how we're supposed to live. We're supposed to live in transparency. We're supposed to live in massive trust, because when you are transparent, you have trust. And I think that you, at the same time, we really save energy. Energy is the most important resource in life. And when you save energy, we're able to use and allocate the energy to something else. So that means if you think about small things that compounds, and we start thinking about it over and over and over again before we start sharing it, that means it's wasting so much potential. That energy could be used for ideas, for goals, for dreams, for to reflect on actions, build awareness. But now for some reason we're spending 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks on rethinking the same small thing that happened, and really thinking what to say, when to say it, like why to say it. And I think that this is such a waste of mental capacity, replaying arguments in your head. And last thing, just probably just a byproduct of really speaking about early, is just living a life lighter. You don't carry any luggage on yourself of unspoken weight. You don't think about all the things that you would love to say. You say it, all the things that you want to say. But of course, that is a. I really love the saying that velvet hammer. So it means that you really hammer someone, but at the same time that hammer has a very soft top, and it means that when you hit it, it hits, but at the same time it's very softly, and you understand that it's coming from the good side. It's coming from your good heart, coming from a caring heart, and I think it's a beautiful thing when we have that. And I think that's the most important part. We just need to understand that when we're sharing, we need to really have that care in our mind. Care is that 4 letters. CARE. And that is context. We need to share the context of a person. We need to really build them, make them aware of the station, because some people do the same thing, but just not aware. Give them a reason why it matters for them or for you, and then really engage with that person to make sure that they give their own perspective on the station, and we engage in discussion, we engage in situation, and I think when we do that, it's much more chance to really live a life of speaking up early. And speaking about early in every aspect of life, we just said it, in relationships, in business, because small problem, when you usually share with other people, with managers, with other business partners, we potentially could find a way how to solve it. But when it is last minute, sometimes there's no chance anything to do. But if you start early, that means something could be done before the deadline. So it's very, very important to really share early. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.